Hello everyone, we are Warm Source Knitting. Today, I would like to share this longevity with you. Scarf knitting tutorial. This scarf is very easy to knit. Especially suitable for our novice friends. Okay. What about this scarf, because the name is so good. Always stay together. So it is suitable for beautiful couples. Friends can knit too to make couple scarves. I ordered 41 stitches for this sample. The woven width is about 22 centimeters. Well, the length is woven in one piece of material. It's about 1.7 meters. Under normal circumstances, just knit this scarf to 1.7 meters. If friends want to knit wider, maybe even longer, I suggest you shoot the kind of material package for the 3-ball line. Well, you can contact the customer service of the store. Go and ask the customer service of the store to send you the link. I knit it looser. If your friend's hands are tight, if the knitting is tighter, well, this must be woven less than 1.7 meters or so. So if your friends are a bit tight, I suggest you also shoot 3 lines. This sample is pure white. So let's start with the needle. Well, we still take this sample, this 41 stitches. Well, we keep this thread at this end. About 80 centimeters. We tie a slip knot. Then we thread this slip knot into the stick needle. I want this thread when wearing the slip knot. This is our thread. The thread is inside. Take a look, this is thread. Then we pull the slip knot on it. Don't pull it too tight. We are based on this good threading needle. That is, we can take another empty stick needle, try it on for him. As long as you wear it lightly like this, you can pass through it. Well, that's fine. If it is it won't fit if it's too loose or too tight. We put this line. Head this on this thumb. This line here is on this index finger. Then let's start with this thumb. Wear it in. And then go around like this from the index finger. Then we tighten it. Pull it as tight as these 2 coils. It's elastic. So you can. And then we move on. Go through the thumb first. And then go around the index finger. Repeating the action like this is a shot. Then this slip knot also counts as a stitch. So we've already got 3 stitches. So I'm going to do that for you. Keep going to the needle. Well, the sample starts with 41 stitches. We start from 3 for the number of needles for this scarf. Multiplier plus 2. After we get the needles, now we start knitting the first row. The first needle in the first row, we knit the needle. The next needle is this stick needle threaded from front to back. Thread it into this coil. Then wind the wire. Transfer this line to him. Take this coil off him. So we are a lower needle. After knitting this needle, and then we just, knitting. Because the first and last stitches of this scarf, it doesn't participate in the pattern. There are 3 stitches in the middle for a pattern. Then I will tell you about the 3 needles of this pattern. These 3 stitches form a pattern. We knit it for the first 2 stitches. And then needle or thread the needle from front to back. We put him through 2 of these 2 needles. After 2 knitting, we wrap the thread around to this place in front of us. Everyone must pay attention. Don't forget to wire. Many friends said after knitting it out, I just knit according to your tutorial. Why is the knitting different from yours? Did you teach it wrong? Friends, take a look. Don't forget to wire this place. If you forget to weave, what comes out is different. Put the line in front. Our needle. Thread the needle from back to front. Thread through the front half of the coil. Let's take a look. The needle inside the coil is in this place. We continue winding. Pick this coil over. Push this coil down. So that's an upper needle. So we finished knitting a set of flowers. And we just kept doing it. The weaving of this set of flowers. So here we are for the next 3 stitches. We still have 2 lower needles and 1 upper needle. Then when knitting, we're going to wrap this thread around the back. You must pay attention to this winding. Don't forget it. Wrap the thread around the back from the tip of the needle. Go around to the back. Then we 2-place the needle. And then you thread it around the front and you knit a top needle. And you loop it twice or more. Knit more than 2 times like this. when we knit from the first row to the last stitch. In front of this is just a group of patterns. Finish knitting it with more than 2 strokes, and then for the last stitch, we stitch it. This scarf? The last stitch in each row is full of needles. Remember everyone, it's the last stitch in each row, all the needles. And then we're in the second row. Start in the second row. Well, let's start in the second row. Weave on the first stitch of each row. Everyone remember, each one starts from the second row. Weave on the first stitch of each row. Shangjo. It's the needle that goes through the thread like this. And you're going through the coil from back to front. It's like knitting on a needle. The line is in the front. Then go through the front coil. And there you go. We'll just return it to him without knitting. And it's called the uptick. The second row does not pick and knit on the first stitch. And then after we're done, we wrap the thread around the back. Next we still have 3 stitches for a flower shape. And then first we knit a needle. After knitting the needle, we wind the thread. Wrap the thread around to the front. Come around to the front, but we don't knit. Or knit needles. Let's take a look. We knit a next knit here. There are 2 stitches on this one. That's 1 more needle. Don't worry about this, we'll get it out later. Then after knitting a needle like this, let's do another needle. We're done knitting this, these 3 stitches, and this pattern. Then we put the penultimate coil 123. This is the coil we wound again. The third to last we give it this. Give him this from the needle. Step him over. Then step back. So we've done 3 stitches, and now we have 3 stitches again. The number of stitches will not be reduced. Let me tell you again. 3 needles in the shape of a flower, then the first knitting needle. Then we wind the thread and knit a lower needle. And then we knit another needle. Then we give him the penultimate stitch 123. Is that so? Get him off the tip of the needle. Step over these 2 stitches and get him off. That's it. Let me tell you again. A lower needle. Winding a lower needle. Another needle. Take this penultimate stitch of this coil. Step him over like this. Don't knit too tightly when you knit. Just bring this thread lightly. If it's too tight, it won't cut. It will be very big and needs to be woven very hard. It doesn't look particularly good when woven. So this is how you do it. Knit all the way down. To the last stitch we are knitting the needle. Because of this, the last needle in each row is the lower needle. Everyone go and finish the second row. We finish knitting in the second row. After the second row is woven. Friends, I'm going to count how many are on this needle. Needle to see if it is with our needle. The numbers are the same. If we say we have an extra needle on this needle, 2 or a few stitches, that means that everyone may be this. Penultimate stitch. Forgot to step over for him. If we are missing a few needles on the stick needle, that means we may have forgotten to wind the wire. Well, that's just one of the reasons. There might be other reasons as well. If the real numbers are wrong, that means you're wrong. It needs to be dismantled and rewoven. Next we weave the third row. This third row is very similar to the first row. We still adjust the first stitch in the third row. And it's coming through the thread like this. Then turn the strips like this without knitting. And then again, 3 stitches into a flower shape. We try knitting more than twice. 2 lower needles. An upper needle. He is different from the first row except for the first shot. Everything else is exactly the same. Just keep repeating this more than 2 times. Then everyone go and finish this third row. Just repeat it more than twice. Next we weave the fourth row. The fourth and second rows are exactly the same. That's the big picture. Let me go through it again. The first stitch is still unknitted. So what we're going to do is we're going to knit a needle. Wrap the thread and knit 2 more lower needles. Then put this penultimate coil. Dial it like this. So this is a group of flowers. Then continue to repeat a lower needle winding. 2 lower needles. It's exactly the same as the second row. Then dial the penultimate coil for him. And people just kept doing it. Then go and complete this fourth row by yourself. After we finish weaving in the 4th row, and you just kept doing the same thing. The weaving method of the 3rd and 4th rows is to repeat the weaving method of the 3rd and 4th rows. Just knit it all the way up. Is it 2 beats for one pattern? Always know the length you want. Well, let's start the needle collection below. Tell everyone about this wiring before closing the needle. Well, you can connect according to this seamless wiring. Traceless wiring, I have a tutorial on the homepage. You can search for seamless wiring. The tutorial will come out. Well, or you can just tie a knot. Tie a knot and hide the knot on the reverse side, because our scarf is one-sided. What if it is a double-sided scarf? Everybody beat the knot to death. After the knot, just hide it in the middle, or just hide it all on one side. When we bring it, we bring the other side. So we're going to wind up the needles. The needle collection is relatively simple. The first stitch we continue to adjust without knitting. Wrap the thread around the back and we knit the second needle. Then take the front needle. Dial it like this. Then we continue to knit a lower needle. Continue to receive. Keep knitting. Just keep knitting one needle over and over again. Then dial the previous coil. Collect it like this. When everyone collects the needles, this line is still light. Don't hold it too tight or too loose. It doesn't look good if it's too tight or too loose. This is the thread, just gently belt it like this. Then what about when we collect it? It is also easier to collect. Everyone follow. In this way, the needle is completed for it. When we receive the last shot, we can cut this thread. Leave 5 to 10 centimeters of thread. Then put this line. The head goes through this last stitch and this coil. We pull it tight. Let me show you the effect of our needle collection. This kind of braid is very beautiful when combed out. We put this line. Put it into our suture needle. This suture needle material package is for everyone. This needle is relatively small and large. After receiving the material package, don't drop it. You should put it away. Then we hide him to this reverse side. Because it's two-sided. If it's one-sided, this is one-sided, our hidden reverse side. If there are both sides, we'll give it to him. Just hide it according to the pattern. This is because the reverse side does not slide. So let's hide this thread casually. Then cut this and cut off the excess. Just do it. Finally, we will put this leather label. It's like sewing buttons. Then sew to this hem. The scarf is in this place below. Friends who can't sew, you can go to the homepage to search for the tutorial on sewing leather labels. Here we have this scarf. The tutorial is over. Friends, there is still something I don't understand. Welcome to leave a message in the comment area. Friends who like it, double-click to follow.